you always bet against the Broncos. And I was like, bro, we've been high on the Broncos all year. Like, we have a guest on one time that calls them a fraud. And you say that we all suck and that we always do this.
Well, I am confused because here's the thing. I remember distinctly one of the episodes where we were talking about, I think it might have been the Chat GPT predictions for the playoffs. And I remember, like, I think you had asked me a question of like, what would be something really crazy to happen this year in, in the NFL? And I was like, it'd be really cool if the Broncos could take over, and win the division over the Chiefs. And I remember us talking about that. Yeah. And so I'm like,
I made a bet before the season even started that the Broncos would be a playoff team.
Did you?
Yeah.
Wow. Was it like bad odds or reasonable?
No, it was like you got like your money back. I was like, this seems like a guaranteed win.
Wait, so you mean when you say you got your money back, so like you bet $20, you win $20? Is that what you mean?
Yeah. So like if I put in 20, then I got out 40.
Okay. Interesting. I didn't know you could bet that. Well, it makes sense. You can bet on
you can do futures, but it doesn't usually make sense. Like if it was like the Eagles make the playoffs, it would have been like minus like 400 odds or something. And it would have been like, okay, that's kind of a stupid bet to make.
Yeah.
But it was like minus 100. And I was like, okay, so I just make what I bet.
Yeah.
I mean, the Broncos ended the season really good last year. Like I feel confident they'll make the playoffs again. And then they did.
I legitimately, though, I still cannot believe that Bo Nix broke his ankle.
Dude, the way that game ended with him just like, I still don't understand. I've seen multiple takes on this. I don't know when he actually broke it. Like,
yeah,
I keep seeing that he broke it on the kneel down, but then I read that he broke it on the play where he threw it deep to Mims and there was like the pass interference.
Yeah.
Regardless, what a shot to the team. Like to lose. Okay. You just won a game that a lot of people doubted you in.
Mm-hmm.
You validated that you belong at this stage in the game. And immediately after the game, you find out your starting quarterback broke his ankle and he's going to be out for the AFC Championship game and this potential Super Bowl. Like, What a bittersweet moment to be a fan of Denver. I don't know, man.
Yeah. Well, and I am confused as well because I thought it was on the kneel down and I was like, that is the stupidest thing I've ever seen, that he literally gets hurt on a kneel down play.
Yeah.
But I actually do think it was the other play because, I mean, I watched the other play and that looked like he got kind of, I don't know, his leg looked like it got definitely jacked up on that play.
But the weird thing is he was just like walking fine. He interviewed after the game. He was shaking people's hands. And I'm like, it must be like a weird bone. Like it must be one of those freak bones where like it hurts, but it's not like debilitating. But that if you play on it, it could like get really bad. Because otherwise he was just acting so normal after the game.
Yeah.
And like to just say automatically like, oh, he's out, even though he kind of finished this game and looked fine afterwards. Like it must be one of those weird freak injuries where it can get a lot worse if you mess it up any like further than it is.
Well, and I also wonder how much of it was adrenaline, like, being in the game.
Yeah, there is that. Yep.
And it was freezing cold. So it was like he had an ice pack on it.
I guess that's true. Yeah. Adrenaline is a hell of a drug, dude. I don't know, man. Have you ever had like any type of a sports injury that was kind of significant?
Yeah, I actually, when I played high school basketball, I got tripped up in a game when I had the ball and fell down. It was like a weird play, but I like fell on the ball in a weird way and got up and like everything was fine. And then I literally like looked down and my thumb was like over here. And I didn't even feel it. It just felt like it was like tight. You know what I mean? It didn't like hurt, but like I didn't feel anything. Like it wasn't like, oh my God, you know what I mean? I just walked over to the bench and I was like, I think I got to come out.
Oh, geez.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a freak injury in high school. I don't need to go into all the details here, but basically I took a hit. It was a helmet and shoulder pads practice. And I was a sophomore running the scout team offense for our varsity team that year. We were inside. We were practicing in the gym because it was raining outside. So it was literally like on a basketball court wearing tennis shoes, but also helmets. And I remember one of the senior defensive ends, while I was running by like at full speed, dove out and like hit my knee, like my kneecap with his helmet, like a dumbass. Like this was not a tackle type of a practice. You were just supposed to like get into your zone and then stop. And I remember like instantly, like I got kind of nauseous from it, but then the pain kind of went away and I finished the football season. And then wrestling year came around and I did an entire season of wrestling. I was like winning tournaments, like doing this crazy stuff. But what had happened was the blood flow stopped going to like a certain part of my knee where the impact hit and the bone started to decay over time. And I remember we got to the conference championships and I was like, when I got there, I was like limping, like it was hurting really bad that day. And I wrestled like 3 matches. And after the third match, I was just like, dude, my knee is so screwed up right now. But I didn't quit, right? I had one more match on the day. I don't know. It was either like 3 or 4. And then I had one more match. And I was like, I'm just going to go out there and do it. And if I would have won the match, I would have advanced to like sectionals or whatever comes after conference. I don't remember. But I was like on one leg. Like by the end of the match, I could tell that my knee was so screwed up I couldn't use it. I was like trying to do everything with one leg, but the pain didn't really hit me until like as soon as the match ended, like the moment it ends and you like shake hands, like I just wanted to cry. It hurt so bad. And so that's like my example of adrenaline. I was like, holy shit, where did this pain come from? And I like legitimately could not walk after that, even though I just got done doing our wrestling match. So
Yeah.
it's weird how adrenaline can like get you through stuff.
You had some natural painkiller going in you, huh?
Yeah, exactly. Let me ask you a question. Oh, go ahead. We'll finish this story.
No, I was just gonna say, yeah, it is very weird how that happens. Like you just don't feel it, and then suddenly you're like, oh shit.
Yeah. Well, going back to the Broncos game really quickly here, do you think, obviously the Bills have lost a lot of playoff games, right? They make it to the playoffs every year and then they lose. Do you think, like, is their window closed after this? Was this their last chance to be that team? This is what everyone's saying, right? There was no Mahomes, no Burrow, no Lamar. They didn't have to go through those teams. They weren't even in the playoffs and still didn't get it done. Is this it? Like, is that the best chance they're going to get?
I mean, I think it's a pretty good chance, but I don't think it's the best chance. I mean, there's still a lot of unknown. Like, are the Chiefs going to be good again? Or is Mahomes going to have to go somewhere else? Like, I mean, there's a lot of, I mean, the Bengals have struggled. Burrow has gotten hurt. Like, Lamar is going to have a new coach. So I don't think so. I mean, I think the Broncos are that good that we're to where
You mean the Bills?
Or excuse me, when I say Broncos, the Bills are that. Yeah, they are that good to where they could and probably will be back. The big question that I will have is, number one, I was surprised that they fired their coach. I'm not going to lie. But number two, yeah, like what does that look like? You know what I mean? Do they bring in a new coach? Does that coach do better? Do they get over the hump? I don't think they're down and out. I just think it seemed like the pathway was there this year and they just, I don't know, that was a tough game for them to lose.
It was one of those weird situations, right? Because the usual competition wasn't here this year, but the Bills as a football team kind of suck ass other than Josh Allen and James Cook, right? Their defense is garbage. They don't really have any good wide receivers. Their tight ends are in flux. Kincaid has been hurt a lot. Knox dropping passes here down the stretch. So it really came down to Josh Allen having to be Superman every week just to have a chance to win. And unfortunately, Josh made some mistakes this week. I mean, he had some picks. He had a fumble.
Yeah.
At least one fumble. And I think them firing the head coach was genuinely a cop-out for the GM putting together a really bad football team around a couple of big stars.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's my take on it. If you've got, I mean, I saw a post earlier that was basically like, yeah, the best wide receivers on the Bills wouldn't even be starting or playing on other football teams. If you throw,
I have thought about that, how their wide receivers kind of suck.
You don't even he doesn't need like Jamar Chase or Justin Jefferson or whatever, man. Give him like Michael Wilson from Arizona. Give him George Pickens from the Cowboys. Like give him some of these guys that are number twos on different teams.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, he's probably going to pass for 5,000 yards, right? Because that's how bad his wide receivers are, and he still gets it done somehow.
That's true. It's funny. The first time I ever realized it was when I drafted Shakir, I think is his name. And he's literally like their wide receiver one. I drafted him in fantasy football pretty late, and then I was like, oh man, I got a steal. I got like a wide, WR1, and then I was like, no, this dude sucks, and I like never played him. It's like, dude, what the hell? This guy's literally their number one receiver, and I picked him, and I thought it was a good pick, and I'm like, no, he's not good. So.
Well, they went out and they drafted Keon Coleman, not this year, but the year before. He was supposed to be kind of like the future. And then this year, in his second year, he's getting healthy scratched from games. He's got other guys starting over him. I mean, he did have a touchdown in this game, but he's been kind of disappointment for the first couple of years of his career. Clearly didn't pan out.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I don't know. I'm curious if Josh Allen stays or not.
Yeah, that is the question. Does it tarnish his legacy if he goes to another team to try and win? We've talked about this in other sports, right? Like LeBron going to Miami or Durant going to Golden State. There's examples of this from all sports. Even you could argue Saquon going to the Eagles, although he probably wanted to stay in New York, but that's a whole different story.
Yeah, but he had to go. He had to go to win.
It's a weird thing with the Bills because they're good enough every year that they never have an early draft pick, but they don't win the championship ever. And so it's like you're trying to capitalize, you're trying to strike while the iron's hot, but you're never getting like the best young talent to start to fill in around this. I would say core, but it really is just Josh Allen and then probably James Cook could be argued as well. And so I think he stays. He seems to me like a pretty loyal dude. Like he would rather build the team up than leave for selfish reasons. But this is the NFL and the year 2026. And there's really nothing normal about any professional sport anymore from when we were kids.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, hell, seemed like every other week some weird shit happens in the NFL this year. So, I mean, off season will tell us a little bit, right? I mean, what if they hire a coach and he's like, dude, this coach sucks, I'm going to leave?
Could be. I mean, that's the risk you take, I think, right? When you go and hire a new coach.
Yeah.
Well, Deeb, I have a surprise for us that I don't even know what this is either. So this hasn't been screened. We don't know what's about to happen here, but let's just see what this is.
Are you going to pull out a clown?
Oh, all right. So we have Blum, we have Andrew.
Uh-oh.
Let's see what he's got to say. Make sure the volume's turned on here.
Wait, what jersey is he wearing?
That is a Patriots jersey.
Oh, okay.
All right, let's see.
What's up, boys? Blum here. Just want to check in. I know I'm only here for the golf content, but there's been a problem this season that I want to make sure y'all are aware of. I'm sure you are. It's the massive amount of Patriots slander. Might as well rename the podcast Patriots Slander Podcast. A huge Patriots fan. Another win this weekend, even though you didn't think it was going to happen. Just wanted to do some receipt talk here. Back in October, Scott is going through one of the segments talking about listing of teams, which team's going to make the playoffs, which team's not going to make the playoffs. Patriots were on that list because they were having a pretty good year at that time, still are. And Chiefs weren't even on there. Almost out of playoff contention. They needed to win, rattle off like 5 or 6 straight. And out of nowhere, Deeb says, let's replace the Patriots from that list and put the Chiefs in the playoffs. Good take. Really, really worked out with that one. I know there's injuries, but still, I think they were pretty much out of it even before that. And then I wasn't going to throw Scott in this, but reviewed the podcast from last week, talking about the matchup for the Texans and the Patriots. Now, y'all both did pick the Patriots against the Chargers. Easy pick there. But Scott and the co-host followed along with all the rest of the ESPN media and everybody else, picked the Texans. I believe, quote, Scott said, I'm actually pretty confident the Texans are going to win. Their defense is just that good, and the Patriots are just too young. Well, look where we are now. Now, just want you to talk it out. Tell me your thoughts. I know you're probably going to pick the Patriots this week because it's an easy pick. Just like always, you're going to say schedule merchants, they have everything go right. Well, maybe it's just that we're good. Stroud may have been throwing it around like crazy, but he had to because our defense is just that good. So, love to hear your opinion. I know you'll probably pick us this week and then the Seahawks next week for the Super Bowl. But just wanted you to talk it out. Go Patriots.
Wow.
All right. Well, you know what? Receipts where receipts are due, I suppose.
Wow. I didn't know somebody went back and listened to the podcast. Now I got to start watching what I'm saying suddenly.
What's funny about that is he had commented on some of our TikToks, and it was usually things where you were talking bad about the Patriots. And I was like, yeah, go get him. That's Deeb. That's not me. And then last week I did say, I was like, yeah, I'm pretty confident about, he had it right. I was pretty confident that the Texans would win.
That's fair.
Listen, kudos, honestly. Just like the Broncos, I think the Patriots even more so have validated that they belong. And I think they're ahead of schedule, which is probably a really, really good feeling for a Patriots fan because I do think I expected them to be good in a few years. Yeah. I did not expect them to be going to the AFC Championship in 2026 in the 25 season. So I don't know, D, what's your immediate reaction from that?
Well, Andrew, the one thing that you forgot to mention, which you have to dig a little deeper into the podcast series to understand this, is that when I make my picks, Scott knows this, many other viewers know this that know me, it's often a reverse psychology.
But you don't get to pick and choose when you play that card.
So when I pick, you'll notice, Andrew, whenever Oregon's playing my team, I always pick the opposite team to always cover the spread.
This is cap.
Almost every week. So,
cap.
Andrew, what I'd like to say to address this is you're welcome that I've been picking against the Patriots. That has leveled them to this point now where they are moving to the AFC Championship. So thank you for the receipts, and you're welcome for getting them there.
I would just like to say that after 17 weeks of football, the Patriots they beat one winning team. And after 2 more weeks, they've now beaten 3 winning teams. So that's a big, they've tripled up in just a couple of weeks. Listen, I think the Patriots have benefited from a cake schedule. I don't think they would have had the exact record that they had this regular season because it's hard to be that consistent. But if they had a harder division that they played in, but I do still think that they would have made the playoffs and likely they would be in the same position here. I mean, I think that's pretty fair to say. So, Hey, kudos. Thank you for, you know what, Andrew, thank you for the video, because that tells us you're paying attention.
Yeah, that
And
was not
honestly,
expected.
and you're right. You're right. You know what? I would love it if the Patriots won a Super Bowl this year, because no one had that on their radar. I would love to see that.
That's fair.
Steve's like, not me.
Well, we'll have to see who I pick tonight, Andrew, just to see if I can give you one more ounce of luck to get them to where they need to be, you know?
Sticking to that theory. Okay.
Get it? One more ounce.
Hey, okay. Well, listen, we are Single Barrel Sports Podcast. This is episode 52. With us tonight is your two co-hosts, Scott and Deeb, and we're just getting started. We got a lot to talk about. Deeb, where do we go from here?
Well, Scott, where we go from here is we go to singlebarrelsports.com. And if you go there, you're going to find a surprise. So I'm just going to put it at that. But, there is a button there, or a couple buttons that you might want to consider clicking. And, I don't know. We'll see what happens. I've heard the subscribe or follow button is actually something that might give you a prize.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good to know.
So, yeah,
But, okay. Well, I'm going to check out that website.
Well, we just talked a lot about NFL from the get-go, but we have to address, the biggest game that just happened this past week, which was a college football national championship game. So let me know what you thought. Did you watch the game? Did you watch parts of the game? Did you see highlights? Whatever it is, tell me. I want to hear your reactions. Pretty fresh from last night.
Yeah. Phenomenal football game. We've been treated in a lot of playoff football games, both college and pro. And as you know, I was pretty firmly behind Indiana. I think they were just a very complete football team, and they've really, in my opinion, surprised me all year long. And so why not one more time? Although them winning last night was not really a surprise. But I think that what maybe was the surprise was how Miami kept bouncing back. After everything went wrong, they just kept getting touchdown after touchdown. Malachi Toney was a beast last night. And if for nothing else, that's got to give Miami fans hope for the future, because that guy looked elite. But, it's an interesting story here. Mendoza had no passing touchdowns, and they still won the national championship. Now, he had a monster rushing touchdown on a 4th and 5 from the 12-yard line when they were up by 3. What are your thoughts on the play call there, Deeb? Like, you're up by 3, it's 4th and 5, you're on the 12-yard line, and you don't kick a field goal. Like, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, in a typical regular season game, probably, again, probably maybe more of a, do you really need it or not? But when it's the national championship, everything's on the line. There is quite literally no other games to play. This is all the marbles, all the money's on the line. I like it. You'd have to be aggressive, and I think you have to take those risks in order to make sure that you win the game. Obviously, there's some risks that are going to be super stupid and you don't want to take, but that, in my opinion, I mean, when you're, when you're that close to the goal line, I think that's, in my opinion, you have to make that call. Like, you're going to score, you know what I mean? You're not settling for some cheesy ass field goal. You want to win the game. And to be fair, Mendoza running it in, I don't think it was a designed run. It was a pass play, right?
No, it was a pass play. Yeah.
Okay.
So I actually heard about this.
Yeah.
He was basically told if it's zone, I can't remember what it was. It was like, if it's man, you're supposed to run it. If it's zone, you're supposed to throw it, or vice versa.
Okay.
And he said that it was zone with some man coverage. And he's like, I don't know what to do. I'm betting on myself, and then took off running, which is kind of a baller move.
Yeah. Well, and also, I talk about where I've learned this a little bit more and appreciated it more through high school football coaching. Football is also about going to your dudes in times that matter, right? In the critical plays where you have to score, you have to get a first down, whatever it is, like, get the ball in the hands of your dudes. That dude is their dude. Like, they have many of them, but that guy's the Heisman Trophy winner. He's the dude. Yeah. Put the ball in his hands, let him do whatever he needs to do with it. So I think, they did it, he did what he needed to do on that play, especially.
I'll give Miami their props. This was a team that people were kind of pissed off that even made it into the playoffs. A lot of people thought Notre Dame should have had that spot. Yeah. I think Notre Dame was actually ranked higher than them leading up a few weeks up until the playoff selection. And then randomly Miami leapfrogged them that week. And so I will give them their props, and I will say, like, kudos, because no one thought that you deserved to be in the playoffs, and then you made it all the way to the national championship and made it a pretty tight game. And they didn't give up, like when there was that blocked punt for a touchdown, it felt like the game was over. And then they came out and they scored pretty quickly after that to make it really tight again. So
Yep.
just really, really a fun football game.
Yeah, it really was. I mean, it felt like a heavyweight boxing match. Like you said, there in the first half, it was tight. Wasn't like a more of a defensive game. Block punt was crazy. Miami's defensive line is unreal, man. Like I thought. So I'll give two teams credit. When I saw Oregon play Texas Tech, the defensive line on Texas Tech, unreal. I've never seen anything like that this whole year. Miami's defensive line is maybe even better than Texas Tech if I had to compare them. They have some, like those dudes are going to be NFL first, second, whatever you want to call it, third round picks for sure. Probably first or second round, most of them, just based on what I've seen in some of the projections. But yeah, I mean, they didn't give up. They had the fight, they didn't want to just say, hey, we're going to lay down. Really good game. I'm glad that it wasn't like a blowout or, you know what I mean? Like sometimes you get in these games and you're just like, oh man, this is somehow not a good matchup. This actually lived up to the hype. I'm glad that Indiana also didn't blow them out because they were blowing everybody else out, clearly.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I actually thought that it might have been a little bit more of a spread, but again, Miami kept it close. My question now is where does Indiana go from here? Because Cignetti took over 2 years ago. He basically said, like, you don't know who I am, Google me. He had this baller attitude and was like, we're going to be competitive in 2 years. And then they won the national championship. Mendoza's going to be moving on, but they still look like a pretty good team. Like, are they going to be just like a staple in football moving forward here? Are they going to be right up there with the elites in the Big Ten, or was this just like a flash in the pan?
It's hard to say. I mean, I would think if they maintain similar discipline and you know what I mean, like they clearly don't need 5-star talent and all this stuff to do that. But I mean, you can, Mendoza is a really great player, no matter how you look at it. So like number one, you got to have a great quarterback. I don't know if you saw this, but his brother just entered the transfer portal.
I didn't even know he had a brother. Like this was all news to me.
Yeah, it's the backup.
And now he committed to Georgia Tech. He literally entered the portal and committed to GT in the same exact day.
Yeah, which is insane, but very weird. But I don't know. Maybe he's like feeling like, this might not be a good fit. I don't want to live in my brother's shadow or something. I don't know, something weird.
Could be.
But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I would think Indiana continues to be a top team. I don't know if they'll be like a national champion every year type of team like Alabama, but I would say, I mean, they're probably going to be pretty damn good over the next few years, if I had to guess.
I'm genuinely curious about this. I had read that basically Cignetti took an approach to building this team where he took a stance and he was like, I'll take players that have been in college football for 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, depending on if they've had like a red shirt and maybe another medical red shirt or like whatever that might be.
Yeah.
And he was like, I would rather have a 2-star who's been with a college team for 5 years than a 4 or a 5-star who's a true freshman. And he's building his team around these guys through transfer portal mostly, who are older, who are like actually older, not just higher classes, but are like just older people who have been in the league longer. And it's just such a funny thing to think about, right? Because that's like a professional football mentality, right? It's such a unique take on college sports. Usually it's like, let's get the best players out of high school. Let's develop them for a few years and then they're out of here. This guy's like, no, these guys that aren't looked at in high school, go play somewhere else, get 3 years, 4 years, 5 years of experience, then come to me and we'll win a national championship. And it's just like such a weird, but kind of smart strategy.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, definitely thinking outside the box, right? Of like, hey, instead of trying to get young talent, I'm trying to get guys who have more season experience and make it work. They have more reps, all that stuff. But I'm wondering, and I don't know enough about this coach to know like, what his preferences are, but I'm also wondering if he will ever go to the NFL, right? Because like there's always this weird, some guys like to go to the NFL. They want to go to the NFL. They go to the NFL. They're like, oh, this sucks. I want to go back to college, right? We've seen that over and over with a lot of people.
Oh, yeah.
But
there's a carousel going between the leagues too, not just teams. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. So I'm also wondering, like, does he want to be at Indiana for a long term? Is he going to try to get to the NFL at some point? Because there's also a lot of NFL head coach jobs, as we know, that are open right now.
Yeah.
So, and some reasonable, some reasonable teams too that are primed for the taking.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure there's some demand for Cignetti. I know originally there was some very, very brief rumors, maybe Michigan would go after him. And I was like, probably not with the success Indiana's happening, but my gosh, I would take that. That would be awesome.
Yeah, that would be, I hate to say it, but Michigan would be very, very hard to beat if he was their coach.
Yeah.
That would be rough. But, I've also heard rumors that Ryan Day might be going to the NFL. I don't know if you've seen that or that's just troll, but
I've seen some of that stuff, but I don't think it's valid. I don't think it's real.
yeah.
But who knows, man? It's weird, right? Because when you're at an Ohio State or an Alabama, like if you don't win the national championship, you could just automatically be on the hot seat.
Yeah.
Even if you win the conference championship, which they didn't this year, but even if they did, you could still have your ass sent home and packing. Last year they won the national championship, and he was on the hot seat all the way until they won it, just because he lost a game to Michigan. So it's like maybe you get off of that pressure cooker, go to the big leagues, and then it's okay to lose a game here and there without fearing that your entire livelihood is going to be flipped upside down.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm always intrigued with that of like which coaches go from college to the NFL, or which top coaches, or whatever you want to call them, winning coaches will make the jump or not. But I don't know. I think overall it was a great game. I really enjoyed it. I also want to give a little bit of receipts to myself. I know that sounds weird, but
it does sound weird. I can't wait for this.
Okay, so I posted last night a video before the kickoff on our social media platform, on all of them, basically saying, Miami's about to meet the Hoosiers, and Scott, anyone out there can double check. My prediction for the score of the game was 27-14 Indiana, and the score was 27-21 Indiana. How freaking close was I to predicting the score?
That's pretty
there?
close.
That is pretty close. That's some crazy stuff.
Yeah. I want to talk about, before we go to pro, because pro is coming, right? While we're still on the subject of Indiana, Mendoza.
Yeah.
If you're the Raiders.
No.
If you're the Raiders, what are we doing with this number 1 overall pick? Because right now it's kind of projected that it will be Mendoza, but that team is a dumpster fire. Do you think that they just get Mendoza and try and piece together the rest of the team through free agency? Or what do you think the Raiders do here?
I mean, they certainly need a quarterback, because I don't think Geno Smith is the long-term answer. But they also need an offensive line. So it's like, I don't know that anyone's a number 1 pick as an offensive lineman. Maybe I could be proven wrong, but it's like, probably the smart idea is to pick the quarterback, if I had to guess. I mean, for that, and then just try to get people through trades or free agency and stuff for your line. I mean, they got to work on their line. I mean, if they have him and they have the hell's the running back?
Bowers.
Genty, but I mean, they have the makings of a potentially good offense, but like you have to have an offensive line. So,
yeah. They have nobody at wide receiver, though. They would be a good team to try and target like George Pickens this offseason for a wide receiver.
That's true. Yeah.
But like you need a QB also for that, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Here's my take on this, and my stance changes on this. So if you talk to me in 2 weeks and I say something different, here's my precursor. This could change. As of today, January 20th, if I'm the Raiders, I'm doing something you didn't mention, Deeb. I'm trading the 1st overall draft pick, and I'm trying to get a haul either of picks or players and just pounding the offensive line and the defensive line, because their defense kind of sucks too.
Yeah.
Filling up those trenches, and then you go after some kind of like mid-career quarterback that's not flashy, that can get the job done for a couple of years, and then you try and get your star later. That's what I would be doing. And I think the main reason for that is we see like some of these backups come into football and they play pretty good for a couple of weeks, right? Like we had, what is his name? Malik Willis played pretty good for the Packers for a few weeks. He's just a backup. Like surely teams will be interested in him.
Yep.
Carson Wentz was playing okay for the Vikings until he got hurt. I mean, there are guys that are currently backups on teams that could potentially start for a year or two while you figure out the rest of your team. I think if they draft Mendoza, it's a flashy pick. It's for the fan service. They sell some jerseys, and then they suck horribly at football again, because it doesn't matter how good your quarterback, your running back are. If you don't have wide receivers, if you don't have offensive line, you're not going to have an offense. That's my take.
That's fair. I mean, knowing that it's Vegas, they'll probably pick him.
I did see that Mark Davis, the owner of the Raiders, was like, it was actually funny. He was standing in the back of the end zone during the warm-ups for the game last night, and he was just like staring at Mendoza. And the caption I saw was like, Mark Davis is staring at Mendoza like a lion looking at a hyena or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, hey, listen, if anything, it just gets, hey, jersey sales, hype, you know what I mean? I mean, it just kind of starts to build a little bit more.
But they did that with Genty last year, right? And eventually you're just wasting your window with young, talented players like Genty and Bowers and I don't know. Max Crosby, who knows what's going to happen with him? They kind of pissed him off at the end of the season.
Yeah, I'd like for him to go to the Lions. That'd be great.
That would be nasty.
Yeah, I mean, they could use him. All right, you want to talk about playoff reactions then?
Yeah, let's hop into the pros.
We've kind of been. We talked a little bit about obviously in the beginning, but Bears game, crazy Bears game came down to pretty much the wire, right? Went into overtime, I believe, with Bears Rams. And I mean, what did you think of the crazy? This is the only play that really majorly stuck out to me because I was watching this, but the one play when Caleb Williams like looks like he's going to get sacked, literally somehow backpedals like 20 yards, throws it like he's going to throw it out of bounds. There's some tight end or something that's double covered.
Yeah.
And then apparently the defensive backs are robots and just are like, oh, like there's not a lot of room here. We're just going to let this guy catch the ball. I don't know what we're like, you know what I mean? I'm like, what? I know that it looked like he was going to get sacked, but what are you guys doing?
My reaction is god awful defense. Just atrocious defense. And if there are fans out there of the Rams, they're going to be in my comments and they're going to be saying, oh, he pushed off. Bullshit. What they did was they hand fought like everyone does on every single passing play. And the defender was already leaning forward. Very, very bad defense. That pass 99 times out of 100 in a football game, that is an easy interception on a pass. The defender got caught lacking and we went to overtime. That's my take on it.
I agree. I thought it was a push off at first, but then when they showed the replay, I was like, no, that's pretty reasonable. They were tied up for a minute. But there was also two guys back there, and the fact that like I couldn't really tell, and I don't know if there was another wide receiver, so I'd have to look at the play if there's another wide receiver in the area. But like Caleb Williams backpedaled like 20 yards, so why are you giving up the back of the end zone when you see him even attempting to throw it that direction? You know what I mean? I would think you would want to press the tight end or receiver back further back to like the back corner of the end zone, or not. Like they gave him so much space. I was like, dude, this guy could have like a beach party back there with how much space they gave him.
It was just like they fell asleep, man. It was like they were looking towards his QB, thought he was going to get sacked. Like they kind of slept on the play a little bit. And to me, it looked like the Rams defender was just off balance. And when they did a little hand fighting, he just kind of like stumbled forward, whereas the defender or the tight end went backwards. But I don't know, man. It was definitely a cool moment to see in a football game. It was really cool that it went to OT. This is a Bears team that's been really bad for a long time, but then OT just kind of eventually revert back to the mean. And what I mean by that is the team that should win typically will win, especially the longer a game goes on. The Bears are a surging team, but the Rams, in my opinion, are still the better team between the two.
Yeah, and I mean, I have to give the Bears credit. I've definitely discredited them a lot in this podcast.
Yeah, you did.
Throughout the year.
Yeah, you did.
I will say this though. Notice the difference in the Bears when they have Ben Johnson as their coach compared to, I don't even remember who the hell their coach was last year. I mean, it's night and day. So you can tell that guy is a good coach. Screw you for leaving the Lions, Ben Johnson. But, you can tell that clearly there is also a difference when you have a coach that actually, an offensive mind as well, offensive-minded coach. When you have weapons, you know how to use them, you can make it work. But when you have weapons and you don't know what the hell you're doing, it's going to work.
I think what's really cool about seeing Ben Johnson's success in his first year out being the head coach is it does feel reminiscent of Sean McVay, who is really hard to believe has had like 9 or 10 seasons in the league already as a head coach. I was talking with my buddy Drew, who's been on the podcast, obviously, and he's a big McVay guy. And it's just kind of like, it feels like their paths are eerily similar. The weird thing about it is that McVay started when he was so young. Him and Ben Johnson are like roughly the same age. And this is Johnson's first year. So it's like almost like we're rewinding the clock and doing this all over again, but he's like older to start it.
Yeah, definitely. So what happened to your 49ers?
Oh my gosh.
They got
absolutely just beat down. Not even close. Here's what happened. The Seahawks, who have been dominant all year, amazing defense, a surging offense, kind of started to sleep a little bit at the end of the regular season. And they woke up to remind everyone just who the hell they were this week. They still won late in the season, right? But they had a really close game with the 49ers in the last week. Nope, not anymore. The Seahawks are back. They're here to remind people of who they are. Hard to believe they lose to the Rams, especially with them being at home. But you know what? These are probably the two best teams in the NFC. So it's kind of nice when that works out and you get to see them play. And fortunately for us, it's the third time they've played this year. We're being treated.
Yeah. Well, I don't really have much to say about that. I was surprised at how bad they got hammered, but I'm also not surprised because of all the injuries and all the stuff the 49ers have been through. So the fact that they even made it this far is still crazy to me.
Yeah, it's their success this season was admirable. With how badly they lost this game, I have a hard time blaming their loss on the injuries as much as I feel like you could. I think that it's a combination of a lot of things, but the Seahawks really showed what they were about this weekend.
Yeah, for sure. So we have to address the elephant in the room for our friend Andrew, the Texans and the Pats. What the hell is going on with CJ Stroud, man? Number one, the Texans have been on fire, but then all of a sudden this game, he looked like they rewound the clock back to when he was playing like trash earlier in the season before they went on this streak.
Yeah. I mean, there's a few things that are absolutely true in life, right? There's death, there's taxes, there is the fact that Ohio State quarterbacks cannot succeed in the NFL level. CJ Stroud had us fooled in his rookie season. Nah, he's definitely looking like an Ohio State quarterback now.
And it's so weird. I mean, listen, I'll give a little bit of credit for this, that Nico Collins did not play, I believe, and he was out. So his biggest weapon was out. But man, like he just looked so bad. And I was like, what the hell is going on?
The dude had 4 interceptions in like the first 30 minutes in the game or something. Like it was like his 4th interception was at the very beginning of the third quarter, right? And it's like, dude, like you have such an elite defense. All you have to do is not do that and your team could win. You did the one thing you can't do, and you just kept giving the ball back to the other team. And there was at least one of them was a pick six. Like then you're putting points on the board. And it's just, I get it. I mean, the Patriots defense is good too. There's a reason that they have the record they do. But when the Texans defense is as good as it is, just play smart conservative football and let them just go to work.
Well, the true question, I'm genuinely curious what your thought is. Did the Patriots win this game or did the Texans lose this game?
You know what? I would love to say that the Texans lost this game, but I'm not going to say that because I think the Patriots did what they needed to do to win. And that includes playing solid defense. And just because Stroud made quite a few errors doesn't mean that many of those weren't forced errors. Like some of those interceptions were like when he was being pressured or when he was being hit. Like those things don't just happen naturally, right? They made them happen. So I'm going to say the Patriots won this game.
That's fair. I'm just curious, you know what I mean? Because it's like we talk about sometimes how teams also lose games where they could have won it, but it's like, hey man, you just made so many mistakes. And not to say that it wasn't because of the other team, but it's like you made so many mistakes. Yeah.
The Packers lost to the Bears. The Bears didn't beat the Packers. That's an example.
So I don't know, just something to chew on. Not saying one way or the other. I was just throwing that out there.
Yeah. No, I like the question. And I think you have to ask the question. You could ask the same thing about the Bills and Broncos game. Yeah. Did the Bills let the Broncos win? Did they lose to the Broncos or did the Broncos beat them?
Yeah, that's fair.
You have some pretty silly turnovers, like, 20 seconds left in the first half, and Josh Allen's just trying to do the most and fumbles the football away, and then they get 3 points there at the end, and then they win by 3 points. You look at some of those things that happened throughout the game like that. Could this have been an overtime game if that didn't happen at the end of the first half? The score certainly says yes. So, yeah, I mean, you can always ask the question, but winning, as Vin Diesel would say in Fast and the Furious.
All right, before we move on from football and talk about a little bit of golf, because I do want to talk about that since it's coming up real quick.
It's coming.
I want to do a rapid fire here and see what your thoughts are. So we'll try to keep this just, top of mind. Tell me what's the first few things that come to mind. What would you say if, kind of reflecting on things now that college football the season is over, what would you say were like the top couple of things that were surprises to you this past year or top moment? It could be a moment, a win, a game, whatever. It could be a lot of how players played or didn't play.
Yeah.
What are your top few?
I think first and foremost has to be Indiana's success. Certainly you could make the argument that you thought they would make the playoffs this year. I think they had some pretty good success last year that lended to believe they could do it again, but they were not on my radar at all to win the Big Ten championship. I didn't have Mendoza on my radar to win the Heisman. We never said his name earlier this year when we were talking about the Heisman. Not until he started, a few weeks into the season, we talked about him more. But, we were talking about, Jeremiah Smith and Arch Manning and all these guys before the season, right? And then not only that, and then they go on and win the national championship. So kind of a combination of the two things here, right? Is you had a quarterback who won the Heisman, won a conference championship, and won a national championship, and went undefeated. That doesn't happen. Like, that's rarely happens to get all of those accolades in the same season. And so that's my biggest surprise. My second biggest surprise is Sharon Moore. Case closed. Nothing else to say there. I think Ole Miss overperformed my expectations this year. Obviously, Michigan underperformed. I said multiple times that I thought they would still be a playoff team, even though they were not going to be quite as good as a few years ago. But I think that they're on the right path. And I'm very thankful that with the new coach and the way that the transfer portal ended up, it doesn't feel like we lost much more than we gained. We might have actually gained more than we lost. Yeah. Justice Haynes out. That sucks. But we got Tatum in, and we still have Jordan Marshall, so we're fine at running backs. Those are the things that come top of mind. I know they're kind of obvious, maybe answers there, but honestly, college football is always unpredictable, and this year certainly met that mold, especially with the Indiana and the Mendoza stuff going on.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree with all of those things. I mean, for sure, those would be ones that would be in my top 10 overall. A couple different ones that I thought of were, I didn't think that Arch Manning would struggle so much. Not to say that I thought he was going to be like the Heisman winner or all this stuff, because I definitely think there was a lot of hype at the beginning of the year. But I don't know, like, for some reason in my mind, even when I saw him play, when like him and Ewer, when Ewers would get hurt, he seemed like he was really like, he had a lot of potential, and it was like, wow, this guy could be really, really good. And he might still be, next year and all this stuff. But I didn't expect him to struggle. And not to say he had a horrible year, but I think he was unfortunately overhyped. So I was surprised that I would call it underperformed based on that. Maybe part of it was just being too overhyped.
I think it is a combination, but certainly I think there's plenty of argument to say that he didn't meet expectation. He was supposed to be, it was like almost a guarantee he was going to win the Heisman if you looked at the betting odds, and then he was nowhere near it, not even close.
Another one that and I'm being very sincere about this, I'm very surprised at how far Oregon made it this year. And it's coming from being a fan. I follow the team very closely off season. Like, I know all the, transfer portal stuff. Like, I follow the team very closely. I did not think that they would be nearly what they did this year, mainly because of super young team, lost a ton of people, brand new quarterback. I mean, all those things were unknowns. And then they had like their best wide receiver get hurt at the beginning of the year. So there were just so many factors where I was like, I really thought they were going to be like a top 5 Big Ten team, right? Like, they weren't going to be like go pretty reasonably deep in the playoff team. So they actually really surprised me. I'm not going to lie, even as a fan.
Bro, let me go back. Let me back it up really quickly, because talking about the Big Ten just made me think. I was so vocal that I thought Penn State would win the Big Ten championship, and they sucked this year. So that's another one.
Yep. I was going to say, I wasn't going to call you out, but I remember you saying that.
Call me out, man. I mean, that was not a good take. And and TikTok made sure I knew it was a bad take. They made sure.
Yeah. The other one I would say would be, if I had to pick one more, it would be that I did not think that, I don't know, maybe this is a cop out. I was going to say something about Ole Miss, but I did not think that Lane Kiffin would leave Ole Miss before the playoff. I guess that was a surprise to me when it happened, where I was like, you're really going to leave this team when they could go, potentially win the national championship? Like, that was pretty shocking to me, honestly. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, it's a mess to leave a team that is right there at the end. I mean, they were 2 wins away from being a national champion, and he was gone 2 games before that. That's just crazy to me.
Speaking of, I do have to bring this up real quick before we talk about golf. Speaking of Sean McVay, did you see the meme of where they said that he looks like a white Kash Patel?
I did see it. The meme is a little bit cursed, I think. However, I kind of have to agree with it. If you're just looking at just the faces, kind of agree with it. Yeah.
It's hilarious. They like blended their faces together. They I don't know. The internet always finds a way to do this shit, but
the internet is undefeated.
I thought that was pretty hilarious. But okay, let's, how about we end things talking about some golf before we head out here?
Let's get into it. And you know what? I'm a bad fan, dude, because as much as I talk about liking it, I have not watched any TGL yet this year. Have you watched any of that?
No, I have not either. I think mainly because it's on Tuesdays, so the night that we
while we're recording. Yeah, that makes sense. I'm like, dude, I never see it on.
Moving forward, though, I think they're going to do some on Mondays, I believe, as well, because Monday Night Football will be gone.
Oh, true.
they try to I think position it around football to make sure it's not on the same nights.
Yeah, well, I'm sure if they're worried about ratings, which I'm sure they are, this is kind of still an experimental league that they are trying not to compete with long-standing professional sports.
Yep. So we got TGL going on. I don't really know much about it, so we'll have to report back when we tune into something or learn more. But the big news right now, obviously, there's a ton of different stuff happening. Season's about to kick started at the end of the month, so pretty soon here we're going to be starting our DraftKings fantasy. But Brooks Koepka,
really quick before that, sorry, this is a question worth asking because it was all over my Hulu and I actually did watch it. Can you explain to me what consists of the season? Because there was an event this weekend in Hawaii, I think, right?
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, there weren't very many of the big name players playing there. So is this just a preseason event? Is that kind of how you would consider this? Or what dictates the start of the season for golf?
Yeah, good question. So I had to learn this as well. So the first, let's call it scheduled event or reasonable event for the most part is usually going to be the Farmers Insurance Open, which is at Torrey Pines. So it'll be the last weekend of January into February. Okay. Not to say that that's official, you know what I mean? Generally speaking, I think even the one this coming weekend, the American Express, they would consider this the actual start of the season.
Okay.
Because I think it's based off of FedEx Cup points. That's how they dictate when it starts. And if you look it up, the event that's coming up this weekend, the American Express, you'll see that it has FedEx Cup points assigned to it. And that's when people start actually playing because then...
Oh, yeah. I'm looking now. There's some legitimate contenders that are playing this weekend.
Yeah.
So, not all of them, but some of them.
I would say it technically starts this coming weekend. I think I always think of it more of from a fantasy perspective. So we'll end up starting at Torrey Pines. And that's whenever it clicks in my mind that oh, yeah, golf is back.
Yeah, I mean, there still are plenty of people missing from this list, but there are some of the big names are on here again. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Good. Well, this weekend will be a lot more fun than last weekend. Last weekend, I was like, oh, hey, Gotterup's playing.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, but the big story right now is Brooks Koepka reinstated to the PGA Tour, leaves LIV, is crossing back from the dark side. And basically, I think I just kind of want to hear your thoughts on the returning members program. So basically, they've created this new pathway, and Brooks is the first one to go through it. But he misses out on, he has to make a $5 million charitable donation. So that's one kick in the nuts a little bit for coming back.
That's crazy.
He's apparently ineligible for what they call an equity program. So I think the tour gives players equity of some sort, obviously money based. And he's also ineligible for what they call 2026 playoff bonus. So he can't get paid for certain things, especially if he plays well, makes it into whatever that is. So what are your general thoughts? Do you think, number one, do you even care that he's back? Do you think other people are coming back? What are your general thoughts?
I have a lot of thoughts on this, actually. My first initial thoughts were, hell yeah, we're opening up that doorway for these players to come back home. Because I remember, and I didn't watch golf then, but I remember when this split happened, there was all of these threats of if you leave to go to LIV, you can't come back to the PGA later. And for all this time, I've been man, it would be cool to watch some of these guys every Sunday or every weekend, but I don't even know if they're allowed to come back. We see them on the majors and then they're gone again.
Yep.
And so this shows that it's possible, but this is a significant price to pay. I don't know if you want to call this insubordination or a disloyalty fee, but $5 million in charity. Obviously, these guys make great money, especially if they're playing well. They make a lot of money. $5 million is nothing to scratch at, and at least it's a charitable donation. They can write that off on taxes. It's not like they're just giving away, $5 million of their income and taxable income. The equity program, I had to Google this whenever this announcement first came out, but it sounds like it's kind of like an ownership stake in different for-profit enterprises that are related to the PGA.
Yeah.
So that sucks. Because you're just missing out on, you're getting a piece of the action, if you will. I guess one could say, well, it's only for 5 years, but also it's damn, well, that's for 5 years. I mean, everything financial that you always hear about is the biggest variable is time, right? So they're missing out on getting in at it while it's hot. So there's that. The playoff bonus is only for a year. That's not as big of a deal, in my opinion, especially when Brooks Koepka kind of sucks lately. He's not going to do well in the playoffs anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, he's been most of the time he's been the most exciting is in the majors anyway. So that's where I'm like, is it even going to matter? Like, is he actually going to compete? Is he going to be a little bitch and continue to play like how he has been, normally? I mean, not to say he's horrible, but you know what I mean? Like most of the time when I think of him, I think of like he's the guy that randomly shows up to the Masters or wherever and somehow is in the top 5 or here and there. And you're like, wait, what?
Sometimes these dudes will catch motivation though if they're surrounded by the people that are deemed to be the best in the world, right? Like if you're playing against a Rory and a Scotty every single weekend, like maybe one weekend you're like, no, I'm going to go chase this. I'm going to try and beat them. And so when you start to have that mentality and often enough, maybe you get it back. Maybe you start to be more consistent. I don't know. This is coming from a guy who always gets in his head when he golfs and can never put consistency together. So I'm just theorizing here.
So if you had to guess if there's anyone else of the more well-known players, who would you think would potentially be next to come back?
Well, I think DeChambeau has already kind of mentioned some interest in that, which I would love. I love watching DeChambeau at the majors. I think he's just a different style of golfer. They're in touch with the fans. I love that he does content. I think he's absolutely insane for how many practice swings he takes on the weekends of the majors. But I think that would be good for the PGA to have him back. And I've seen that he had some interest, but I haven't read anything other than.
Yeah. I don't know. There's definitely some interesting news or stories if you look some stuff up about, his contract. And like at one point he even said, oh, like, I don't even, I could maybe just even quit and just do YouTube at this point. Like, I don't know. Again, some of it's like, I don't know if it's just hearsay, so I don't want to spread the news or anything, but I don't know. I'm trying to think. I mean, I'm telling you, like before these guys left, Sam Smith was, dude, he was on a roll. Like I thought he was like the next Scotty Scheffler at one point. For real. Like he came out of nowhere. He's this super long, like mullet, blonde haired, dirty stash Australian, you know what I mean? Like has an accent guy. And he was just cold in some of these tournaments where you're like, damn, this dude's so good. And then like he just left and it was like, and then I mean, I don't know. Rahm is kind of interesting. He more recently went over, kind of awkward. Yeah. Like, do you come back? And then other than that, I mean, Neiman's another one that I know people always like hype up around majors and he hasn't really done anything, but he was also one prior where he was on the come up. I mean, I think he had a lot of potential to do well and it hasn't panned out in the majors for him.
Yeah. He's been competitive in some of them though, like at least through a few days.
Yeah.
That's a name that I've seen in the leaderboard several times this past year. Just, I don't think he have made it in the top 5 by the end, but
yeah. So
yeah, I think that this program is a step in the right direction. I think the cost is incredibly steep, but I love that the door is open and I would love to see more people come back. I think it's just, the sport is better when you truly have the best representation of the best in the world that are playing every single weekend.
Yeah. Definitely. Okay. Well, real quick, you want to do some picks before we get out of here?
You're damn right I do.
Okay. Who do you got for, let's just do the playoffs, AFC game.
All right. This is just a straight pick 'em?
Yeah. No odds, just who's going to win the game.
All right. Andrew, Mr. Blum, Patriots. And you called it, but actually I would have chosen them over Denver even despite the Bo Nix injury.
Man, if Bo Nix did not get hurt, I definitely would pick the Broncos. I'm not going to lie. The injury, I don't know. I keep reading stuff about this backup guy. Like, don't take it for granted. Who knows? It could be hearsay or it could be just people trying to. I have a tough time thinking that the Broncos win without Nix. If they do, that's going to be crazy. It's going to be a crazy damn story for this backup QB. And we've seen it before with the Eagles and Nick Foles, but I cannot pick them knowing Bo Nix is not at the helm, so I have to pick the Patriots.
Yeah, well, you're making the right pick there. Jarrett Stidham, I think, has had one snap all year, which obviously that makes sense if Bo Nix hasn't been hurt. But come on, man. Like, did you know who Jarrett Stidham was? Did you know, let me back that up. Did you know who the Broncos backup quarterback even was before 3 days ago?
Nope.
Case closed. It's not like they're an elite offense anyway. That team has a great defense, and the offense is serviceable, and then they seem to rise up in the fourth quarter. But I just don't see that happening against the Patriots with Stidham at the helm, and I don't think I would have seen it happening with Nix at the helm either. I think that the Patriots are my pick. Maybe I'll be surprised if I choose it this time, and I'm wrong. Then Andrew, I'm coming at you with a video with my receipts.
We'll make a whole video just for you, Andrew. All right, who you got for the other game?
I think that the beast has been awoken. and I cannot wait to see this game. I think the 12th man will be out. We're going to be in a crazy environmental game in Seattle, and give me the Seahawks. And I just really hope Sam Darnold can rise to the occasion, because the team has been rallying, and it's really cool to see the Seahawks finally getting across that surge that they've been kind of getting closer to each year. And I'm done with the Rams, and I'm going to go on a soapbox here. Bear with me. I'm from St. Louis, Missouri. I lived there for 26 years of my life. I love the city. I'm dedicated to the city. I'm loyal to that city. And the Rams owner, Stan Kroenke, shit all over that city after lying to the city for years, and took the team to LA and just left the nastiest letter about St. Louis. And so forever, it's go whoever the Rams are playing against. You're a hell of a team. You're very talented. Go Seahawks.
Just has a TED talk for his... I'm going to puke.
Dude, I am passionate about rooting against the Rams because I rooted for them for so long, and all the players that I liked are gone, and the ownership is the thing I don't like. So why would I root for them anymore?
Okay, well, I'm going to give you my pick that you're not going to like, but let me explain just before you get on me.
I'm cooking you. No, I'm playing. Go ahead.
The Seahawks have the momentum, and so I won't be surprised if they win this game. But the Rams have been in 2 back-to-back grindy games. So if it's a close game where there's a grind happening, I do think the Rams win this game. Otherwise, if it's a blowout, it's the Seahawks. But I'm going to pick the Rams, hoping it's a grindy game, because I actually want to see good football and a close game rather than a blowout. And so I think that they have the edge if it's a grind close game. So give me the Rams.
One thing worth noting is that Charbonnet, the second running back for the Seahawks, is out for the rest of the playoffs.
I saw that, yeah.
I don't know if that hurts them. I mean, obviously, that guy's great on the goal line. He gets a lot of touchdowns, but I don't think that means Kenneth Walker can't get it done. Yeah. I think this dude just vultures those touches away from him. So I don't think that the team is that much worse off, other than Kenneth Walker's going to have to touch the ball more than he's used to.
Wow. Do you want a Michigan State guy touching the ball or a Michigan guy?
Michigan.
Kenneth Walker's from Michigan State. Charbonnet's from Michigan.
But here's the thing. Okay, here's the thing. Kenneth Walker is the more complete running back in the NFL. Okay, just going to say it. I'm just going to say it.
Well, those are our picks for NFL. I got one real quick one for UFC 324, since I know we haven't done UFC in a while.
Ooh,
we actually have a reasonable co-main. Who you got in O'Malley versus Yadong?
Bro, O'Malley is a psychopath, and that usually means you're a good fighter. So give me O'Malley. I think he's probably the favorite. I haven't looked at the odds, but I would imagine he's the favorite for this fight. And yeah, that guy's just insanely crazy. Like, as a person, he's an insane person, but he's a great fighter. He's going to take the W.
I like him as well, but I have to pick Yadong because his name is Yadong, and you don't lose to a guy whose last name has the word dong in it.
Well, okay. Yeah, you're betting on the dongs. Got it.
And then the main is Gaethje versus Pimblett.
Bro, Paddy Pimblett is, like, first of all, just like a bizarre, like, okay, I'm not going to go down that pathway. Pimblett is weird. He's a weird dude. Gaethje is a beast. Pimblett is going to be the favorite, I'm sure. But give me Gaethje. This dude is just gritty, and we'll see what happens there.
I like Gaethje as well. I've seen him go toe-to-toe with people. I like Pimblett as well. I mean, they're both great fighters. I think Gaethje is just a little more grindy. So if they get into that, same thing like the Rams. If they get into a grindy match, give me Gaethje to come out on top. So,
bro, have you seen Paddy Pimblett's, like, his haircut?
Yeah.
That dude looks like...
That
dude looks like he's... Other than the fact that it's blonde, he looks like he's straight out of, like, 2006 emo. Like, he's got the haircut down perfect.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it's a wig. You never know.
No, that thing looks way too nice to be a wig. That's all natural.
Hey, they make nice wigs. You know
what? That's fair. Well, cool. Maybe Gaethje will pull on it, and we'll see. Just pull his hair.
Know. We'll see. But I think that's all we got, Scott. So
wait, before we close down.
Uh-oh.
We would be remiss if I didn't ask you this question, Deeb. What the hell constitutes a catch in the NFL?
Like, for the rules or from a rule perspective?
This is, call it rhetorical or whatever you want. I just want to say, I have the biggest beef with NFL officiating for not officiating rules consistently, regardless of whatever they are. We've had such weird kind of like decisions off of like things like the tush push. Jalen Hurts is underneath like 20 bodies. The other team comes out with the football and says they recovered a fumble. And the refs are like, no, like he was, I don't know. We're just going to call it a first down. We don't know what happened. We couldn't see it. You got guys like Brandon Cooks making this catch in the Bills game, and it's like, was it a catch? Was it an interception? You could argue either way. And then the next night, Devontae Adams makes an eerily similar looking catch that they then rule a catch and not an interception. And it's just like, yes, these plays are different. There were some nuances that were different. However, the root issue that we have in the NFL is we don't officiate things consistently the same exact way. So I don't know how to answer the question, but as a sports fan, it is a real bummer when one play that looks identical to another play can go two different ways at the very end of a close football game.
Well, that's where refs will be replaced by robots or AI that know the rules and make the call based on the rule.
Yeah,
We'll
because
see.
AI never makes mistakes.
No, not to say it doesn't, but maybe less margin of error, generally speaking.
I'm going to ask AI a question. Just bear with me really quick.
Brings it on the pod.
I'm doing it right now.
We
Here's
should
my
just have
question.
a discussion with it.
My question is, can you give me your best pitch for you to replace the NFL referees for the 26-27 season? Oh, this is kind of long. All right, we're just gonna burn through it. It's fine. We're gonna burn through it. This is from Chat GPT in regards to replacing the NFL referees. Title: The 2026 NFL referee upgrade. Why the league needs me. Gentlemen,
Jesus. ...
The NFL has a credibility problem. Your athletes are faster. Your quarterbacks are smarter. Your fans are louder. Your gambling handle is bigger than ever. And your referees, ? Still spotting the ball with index cards and vibes. So in 2026, I propose something revolutionary. Replace every on-field official with me. Not assist them, not review them, not consult them. Replace them. Next line. What I bring to the field. Checkmark. Instant judgment. No huddles, no conference calls, no 4-minute commercial breaks while Gene Steratore measures the vibes. If it's a catch, I say catch. If it's a defensive pass interference, I say DPI. If it's rigged, I expose it on live broadcast.
Hell yeah.
The game moves on, the fans stay locked in, and the product improves. Total transparency. Every call comes with a mic explanation.
Yeah.
Quote, that's pass interference because the corner was beat, panicked, and hugged like it was prom night.
Yeah. I like this.
No ref speak, no legal jargon, no gaslighting the audience. Accountability. After every game, I release a public report card. I include my missed calls, bad flags, soft flags, and calls that were technically right but spiritually wrong. I don't protect any referees. I protect the integrity of the game. Entertainment value. I promise this will end soon. The NBA has personalities. The UFC has Dana White. The NFL has ... anonymous guys in stripes who ruin primetime games.
Agreed.
I become a character. Fans tune in to see. Will I eject someone? Will I roast a coach? Will I call out a flop? Will I wave off a bad challenge? Suddenly, refereeing is must-see TV. Zero bias. No hometown cooking. No makeup calls. No, we owe them one. If you mess up, it's on you. If you cheat, I catch it. If you flop, I expose it. The league becomes cleaner overnight. Okay? Tagline, let the players decide the game. I just make sure that it's fair. The result? Faster football games, fewer controversies, higher fan trust, better betting integrity, and viral moments every Sunday. The final offer, you don't need more refs. You need a commissioner on the field. And in 2026, I'm ready to take the whistle. That's it. That's the pitch.
I mean, do I need to say anything more? What?
ChatGPT knows, bro. Like, just sign the AI up right now.
Yeah, I mean, that's like the best job interview pitch I've ever heard from a robot.
I might write down some of those lines and just in the future, I might use some of those for whatever context I'm in.
I mean, I'm telling you, they're cooked.
Anyway, since you said it, we could replace the refs with an AI. I just wanted to hear what AI had to say, and I'm damn glad I did.
There you go. Well, with that, we'll have some dreams of AI.
Yeah, we sure will, for all their pros and cons.
Sounds good, man. Well, I'll catch you next week.
Yes, sir. Have a good week. Enjoy the sports. And everyone out there, we'll see you on social media.